pattern that we're picking up. Anyway, let's move on to Ben Folkes. So I'll try and explain this before I put it up. I just want to make sure I had it right. So Ben Folkes is, I think, an excellent scorer of the Ben Folkes 30-odd, which is kind of what traditional wicketkeepers, for you youngsters, you won't know about this, but in the old days, you sort of had a Mark Boucher or a Jack Russell or an Ian Healy. No one really expected them to make 50s and 100s. They weren't that level of batter, but what they were very good at is getting pesky 30s and handy 40s and 20s where they stopped the rot and all these sorts of scores. But we knew eventually they would go out. And Folkes looks like a better batter than all those three I just mentioned, but he's very similar at sort of getting himself set and not going on. And if you look at his record overall, so this graph is a little bit more extreme than I wanted it to be, but this is Folkes during his career versus number sevens. You can see he's averaging just 0.03 less than the average number sevens in his career. So as a number seven, he is doing an admirable job, especially considering, his secondary skill of wicket keeping is a plus for England. But you can see versus the other wicket keepers, he's down 3.41. Think about that. That's all wicket keepers in Test cricket, and he's about just over 10% worse than them. Right? It is a substantial number. I think I've made it look far more dramatic here than it needs to. But I did it. I put it here to show that as a number seven, he's kind of holding his own. You're probably still preferring to be above average, not slightly below average. But as a wicket keeper, he's not quite making as many runs as everyone else is. But here's the fascinating thing. This one is from CricViz. You can see between 0 and 25 runs, he is averaging about the same as top seven batters around the world, right? So he is 1.48 runs less. And if you think about him as a number seven, being slightly lower than, number fours around the world is absolutely fine. He's not a specialist batter. I think this number holds up fine. This is the one that is concerning because he gets himself in so often. And he really struggles to have a good average between 25 and 50. You can see here his average is 6.1 runs less. And so he does all the hard work over and over again, and he doesn't cash in. And that's really why he's averaging, I think he's averaging 30.7 at the moment. And it's the difference between averaging 33 and 34, probably. It's that he keeps getting into those scores and gets set and looks good. Part of it is, I think, because he scores a little bit slower, he doesn't have the ability to capitalize. I remember Matt Pryor had a theory, and Matt Pryor was obviously a better batter than Ben Folkes, but Matt Pryor always had a theory of there's always going to be a ball with my name on it. So, if I can get myself to 30 or 40 really quickly, I can put the pressure back on the opposition, and then if that ball comes, I've got some runs in my hand. Ben Folkes, obviously, very different kind of player, thinks about the game very differently, worries about his technique, is, sort of a huge, always tweaking and thinking about things, and a technician and everything else. But he's able to get England back into the game a lot, but he's not able to always capitalize on it. It's not as much of an issue today because of what Ollie Robinson did at the end of the day, and Joe Root's still there, but it is something worth looking at going ahead because it is something that he does quite a bit.